"You are fired!" The words ripped through the luxurious halls of the mansion like a thunderclap, echoing off the marble walls and silencing everything around them. Martha, the maid who had served the Whitmore family faithfully for nearly a decade, froze mid-step, her hands trembling as she clutched the stack of freshly folded linens. Her heart pounded in her chest, a mixture of fear, disbelief, and humiliation swirling inside her. She had never seen Mr. Whitmore, the cold and commanding millionaire, lose his temper like this. His voice, booming and unforgiving, seemed to push her against the wall, leaving her speechless. The opulent living room, with its crystal chandeliers and polished floors, suddenly felt like a prison. Outside, the winter wind rattled the windows as if mourning her pain. For a brief moment, the world seemed to stop, and all Martha could hear was the echo of the words she never thought she'd hear. Fired. She had poured her life into this family, raising the children with care, preparing dinners, cleaning rooms, and always smiling through hardships of her own. Now, after years of dedication, it was as if all her effort meant nothing. Tears pricked her eyes, but she forced herself to stand tall, refusing to show weakness. As she turned to leave, her hands shaking, she caught sight of something unexpected. Little Abigail Whitmore, only 12, standing quietly behind her father. The girl's eyes, usually filled with mischief, were now wide with shock, almost pleading. Before you dive deeper into this story, if you believe in the power of kindness and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's spread stories that remind us of humanity. Abigail took a tentative step forward, her small hand clutching a worn notebook she always carried. Her father's booming presence intimidated her, but she found courage somewhere deep inside. "Dad, wait," she whispered, barely audible, yet every word held weight. Mr. Whitmore turned, his sharp gaze meeting hers, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. But Abigail didn't waver. She stepped closer to Martha and wrapped her tiny arms around the older woman's waist. Martha stiffened at first, surprised by the warmth of the embrace, but she soon felt the raw honesty in Abigail's touch. The girl looked up at her father with tears shimmering in her eyes. "She's been like family to me, Dad. You can't just—" "Throw her away," Abigail said, her voice shaking but resolute. For a moment, the millionaire's stern expression faltered. He opened his mouth, probably to argue, but Abigail's words hung in the air like a challenge he didn't expect. Martha couldn't speak, her voice caught somewhere between gratitude and disbelief. All these years she had been careful not to overstep boundaries, never wanting to be more than the help. And yet, here was Abigail, a child who had grown under her care, standing up for her without hesitation. It was a moment Martha would never forget, a moment where innocence confronted authority, and the simplest gesture of love had the power to shake even the strongest man. Abigail continued, her words tumbling out with fierce sincerity. "You don't understand, Dad. She's more than just a maid. She's my friend, my mentor. She taught me to read, to bake, to never give up, and now you're taking her away from me. That's not fair." Her small voice, brimming with emotion, echoed through the grand room. Mr. Whitmore's jaw tightened. He was a man of wealth and power, a self-made tycoon who prided himself on his strict rules and unyielding control. Yet, standing before him was a child with a purity he could not dismiss, a voice that carried more truth than any business logic ever could. For the first time in years, Mr. Whitmore felt a pang of guilt. He remembered the countless nights Martha had stayed late, ironing his expensive suits, cleaning the house from top to bottom, and quietly keeping the family together when he was lost in his work. He remembered the nights she had stayed up with Abigail during storms, reading stories and calming her fears. And now, confronted by his daughter's unwavering belief in Martha, he felt an unfamiliar sensation, regret. Martha's hands clasped together as she watched Abigail, unsure if she should say anything. Her life had been a constant cycle of sacrifice, unnoticed and unappreciated. She had accepted hardship silently, expecting nothing in return. But this was different. This was recognition from a heart pure enough to see her worth. Tears streamed down her cheeks, but for once, they were tears of relief, not sorrow. Abigail, sensing her father's hesitation, stepped closer. "Please, Dad, give her a chance. We all make mistakes, and I know she hasn't done anything wrong. You don't have to be mean to her to teach her a lesson. Her plea was simple, yet it carried the weight of love and loyalty that only a child could express so purely. The millionaire's gaze softened, and for the first time he saw Martha not as a servant, but as a person who had given everything for his family without asking for anything in return. He sighed, a long, heavy breath that seemed to release years of pride and stubbornness. "Abigail, maybe I was too harsh," he admitted, his voice quieter than usual. He turned to Martha, his eyes no longer cold but reflective, almost vulnerable. "Martha, I don't know what came over me. I let anger cloud my judgment." Martha's heart leapt. She nodded slowly, unable to trust her voice just yet. The mansion, which had felt so suffocating moments ago, now seemed to breathe with possibility, with the quiet hope that kindness could still prevail. Abigail squeezed Martha's hand, smiling through her own tears, as if sharing an unspoken victory. Days passed, and the Whitmore household slowly returned to its rhythm, but nothing felt quite the same. Martha continued her work, but now with a renewed sense of dignity. The bond between her and Abigail had grown stronger, an unbreakable connection forged through loyalty, courage, and heart. The millionaire, too, had changed, his perspective softened by the reminder that wealth and authority meant little without compassion. He had learned, perhaps the hardest lesson of all, that even those society deems insignificant can hold immense power over the human heart. Martha never forgot that day. She realized that one act of standing up for someone, even if it comes from a small and innocent heart, can transform lives. Abigail's courage gave her back her dignity, and in return, Martha's unwavering devotion had given the young girl a role model for kindness, patience, and resilience. Together, they had rewritten a story that could have ended in despair, transforming it instead into one of hope, redemption, and unconditional love. If this story touched your heart, please engage with this video. Like, share, and comment. Let others feel the power of courage, loyalty, and the beautiful bond between people who care for one another. Before we end, leave a comment sharing the moment in this story that moved you the most. It would mean so much to us and to Martha and Abigail in spirit. Because sometimes the smallest voices, the most unexpected acts, and the purest hearts can change everything. And in the Whitmore mansion that day, it wasn't money or power, but love and courage that truly won.